What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about and unboxing the TCL R646. We're going to be comparing it to the Hisense U7G, which the box is right there behind me. We're going to also be talking about how it compares with gaming from other TVs as well. We're going to be doing PS5 versus Xbox Series X comparisons, and we're also going to be going through some various aspects of picture quality, such as the black levels. A big concern that I had last year were that the local dimming zones weren't really enhanced over a regular full array TV. So this year with the R646, we're going to dive in and see if that has changed. If any of that stuff interests you and you like this kind of content, subscribe, smack like on this video, and join the journey, because we're going to be getting to the point right now. So one of the things that's like super apparent is like the box is really pretty. I really love the design, and straight up, like being just honest, this looks so much better than what we have with stuff like Sony with their Master Series, and even like some of their other expensive LED TVs like the X95J, the X900J. This is going to be already out the gate a more attractive offer, especially because, again, just look at it, hands-free voice control, and then you've got mini LED, quantum dot technology. I mean, they're really kind of going in, just showing you everything they offer, motion rate 480, so yeah, I'm really excited about that. Now at the top of the box, I'm gonna go ahead and lower down my brightness here so you guys can kind of see some of this stuff. Okay, we've got quite a few things happening here. Okay, so we've got our stand pieces here, which I think look pretty generic, right? There's not a whole lot to it. Okay, and then we've got brochure and stuff like that. I'll lay all this stuff out to show you what it is, but essentially the TV's packed pretty well. It's got this kind of like styrofoam piece right here that I think is doing the job. I'll turn up the brightness so you guys can see it. You know, you got the styrofoam. It's all packed pretty well. So yeah, I think as far as packaging goes, I don't think they did a terrible job at all. And yeah, let's continue with the unboxing. Now, I just pulled the TV out of this bottom piece here. One of the things that's super annoying about this bottom piece, go ahead and turn down my brightness so you guys can see a little better, is that it's made of this almost like it's like this foam piece. It's like this really foam core feeling stuff. And like what's really annoying about it is it fits really snug. It's not like styrofoam, it's like super duper snug. So this is definitely going to be something that makes pulling it out of the box just a little bit more challenging. Not a big gripe, but just something that you might want to think about. It's a little sticky, and it, you know, be careful with how you pull it out. And also, it tends to wobble a bit, as you guys can kind of see. So just be careful when you unbox it, because your TV could potentially fall forward. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I'll say this, TCL doesn't claim to have a road to zero and going green and all that like Sony does, but I tell you right now, if we zoom in and we look at their package contents, it's very minimal. So we have the remote, as you guys can clearly see here. Everything's in a little Ziploc bag. This is all the plastic you get, and only 2 things of plastic around this. It's so minimal, and this is so very good to see that, again, you don't have to make claims of being environmentally friendly by ripping ink off the box like Sony does. You can still offer beautiful graphics on the box and do minimal packaging, and I think this is exactly how it's done, and TCL really just showed Sony something. And I'm telling you guys, if you have a bias going into this thinking that, oh, it's just a cheap Chinese manufacturer, you might want to stop thinking that way, because I tell you right now, they're doing so much more out the gate than your so-called luxury brand. But we'll get into that in a later video. But for now, let's continue with the unboxing. Now, to immediately answer some of the questions I've been receiving about this TV, before I even got started with this, yes, you have one 120 hertz port here and another one right down here. And then at the bottom, you have two 60 hertz ports. So only two HDMI 2.1 ports, but you still do have them. So that does answer that question. Outside of that, everything is pretty much similar to what you've seen on older TVs from the past from TCL. Design-wise, it looks pretty sick. So you have this really cool reflective kind of like backing here, like piano black gloss keys, you know? You ever seen the keys of a piano, how it's glossy black? That's what it looks like. It's very sick. And then the frame, as you guys can see, very reflective, shiny brush metal. It's very luxurious, just like we've seen on other TCLs, but I really like the way that this looks. So again, kudos in the design department for sure. Assembly is super easy. All you do is take the legs and literally correspond them, line them up with the left and right symbols on the TV base. And it's really easy to do. You can find that on the other side here. As you see, there's an arrow that says right. You guys can probably see that, maybe you can't, but it's there. So yeah, it's just this little arrow right here that says right, and then you just line your leg up with that. It's very simple. It's so easy a caveman can do it, so I won't insult your intelligence by doing an actual showing of that, because I'm pretty sure you could do that. Now, something that's really cool is that they've got this nice little brush metal, as you know, but if you look under here, they've kind of got this like, almost like fabric, like denim feeling kind of bottom to it. It's a nice little touch and it feels very luxurious. So I really think that this is like a really cool thing that they did this year. So it's one of those things that some people might not notice, but I definitely did. And I really like this. I think this is very luxurious and very, very nice. Now, one of the main questions you may have as you're doing the unboxing, what in the world are these rubber things here? These rubber things are, simply put, a cover for the screw holes on your stand. You do not need to use them. I'm not going to be using them for this particular unboxing, but you can if you choose to. Of course, you have a removable power cable, which is extremely nice and very welcome. And then, of course, we have the brand new redesigned remote. Since it's a Google TV, it's not Roku anymore. And I really like this design of the remote. This is rubber, and the whole feel is a rubberized, tactile kind of feeling. Nice, clicky buttons, right? And it feels pretty good. So you have TCL channel, you have Prime Video, YouTube, and Netflix. So yeah, pretty much everything you really need. And yeah, the remote's pretty basic, but a nice improvement over the Fisher-Price toy we had on the last model. One of the things I wanted to point your attention to is look how thick this unit is. It's really, really thick. Now, I'm really hoping that this thickness translates into really deep black levels because, I mean, otherwise it would be big for nothing. But I'll let you know if that's the case. Another thing I kind of wanted to point your attention to is this part here. So you have the AC adapter, and the AC adapter this year is really nice because it's the big kind. It's not the little chibi kind. It's the thick, robust kind. You probably have a couple of these lying around your house already. So if anything ever happens to your TV, a pet chews it, kids maybe destroy it somehow with scissors playing around or whatever, you can just buy one of these super universal AC adapters. I love this. This is fantastic. Very, very, very welcome. All right. So as far as the reflections go, this is what the screen looks like. I mean, you can see the lamp in the background. I'm waving my hand here. I mean, you can't really see it terribly, but it is there. It's very similar to what we have on the Hisense U7G. Now, one thing that's a super nice touch is that you have a chromed out, not really chromed out, but a brushed metal TCL logo. Again, we were talking about that fabric earlier, and then that ties into your hands-free voice control here. There's not like a switch or anything. I don't see one. And I think that's one of the downsides to it not being on the front like you have on the Hisense, but you do still have it, and they put it in the fabric itself, so it's recessed in and it looks really clean, very designer. And again, just looking at the bezels are super clean. I really like the way they look, very minimalistic, and I love how there's basically no bezel on this screen. It's essentially like that thing that Samsung was advertising, how they're like 99% screen to body ratio. Yeah, TCL has that too. Like, it's really very minimal. I mean, look at these bezels. They're like impossibly thin, just like the Hisense U7G. They're like ridiculously thin. And then you have a nice little chrome strip here, as you guys can see, and then it contrasts with brushed metal. It's very premium. And again, you're not finding any top-end Sony, Samsung, or even LG on the market that's gonna have build quality that matches this. And I'm telling you, I've looked at all of them. This is really, really, really nice. All right, so now we're going to turn on the TCL R646 for the first time. We're just gonna hit the power button and wait for it to cycle on. I see some grayness, but no clouding. So that's really, really good. As you guys can see, my ISO is pretty high, and that's pretty darn uniform. We're gonna go ahead and lower down the ISO though, so you guys can see what's going on. And that's inky black. That is like jet black right there. Then right now, it went back to being a little bit on the grayer side of things. So it's kind of fluctuating between the two, but overall it is pretty damn uniform. And that is what I was hoping given how big it is. So that's definitely a plus. And okay, so now we do have a little bit of gray black here as I'm looking at it. And again, please forgive the shaky camera. I have a space limitation to work with here, so I'm not exactly able to set up a tripod. So you really are just gonna have to make do with a little bit of jitters here and there, and I hope that you can do that. Okay, so the first thing it's gonna ask us is what language. I select English, select your country, United States, and then it's going to ask you if you want to do the Google TV setup or if you want to do the basic setup. So after doing that, you're gonna be asked about your Wi-Fi information. I skipped that, and now you're gonna be met with the Google Terms of Service, which are forced on this TV. They ask you to basically accept, and you can read them if you want, but essentially it's the Terms of Service, it's the Play Terms of Service, and it's the privacy policy. Now, the two that probably will be a big deal breaker for some people will be the Terms of Service and probably the privacy policy, because if you read around the middle of the paragraph, it says that this device will basically automatically install apps. Well, I shouldn't say will, it may, we'll put a quotation around that, automatically install and receive updates and apps from the Google or from the device manufacturer. And some of them may have an option or optional in-app purchases and things like that that you can remove and adjust permissions at any time. But the fact that, you know, it may automatically receive or install updates or not is something that you might want to be cognizant of. This is why I always go offline on all my TVs, because let's say that there is an update that isn't much of an update at all and actually does some negative things for your TV. If it automatically updates, then you're kind of screwed. And so they're kind of letting you know that from the jump. And if you're not okay with that, you have to take your TV back to the store. Also, at the very bottom, they say Google also collects and temporarily stores the voice and audio history from microphone use to improve the product experience. Now, if you don't want that, that's something that you might want to second guess Google on. If you don't want them to collect your voice, I know people are not okay with that. So, I mean, for one, my wife hates that. My wife can't stand it, and I'm right there with her. So I don't want to be listened to. I feel like it's like a spyware TV. I'm not about it, right? But this is something that every person kind of has to make their own decision on. It's really annoying that there's not a, okay, I don't want any of this, let me go offline, because voice control is online use. You should not be forcing somebody to use it all the time if they don't want to use it. And to blanketly just kind of say, if you don't accept, which is the only option here outside of reading the terms of service, then you can't go any further, is total garbage. And I think both Hisense and TCL and Sony even need to get on that, because that is not acceptable in the like. You need to get rid of this. But again, this is Google, and we all know how Google is about kind of dictating things. So at the end of the day, it's basically comply, accept, comply, and more comply. So if you're not okay with that, I will, in this 2-minute now, almost 40-second plus rant, tell you that this is something that is the biggest deal breaker so far about this TV. All right, so we're gonna hit accept because we have no choice. And then it's going to say environment. Please choose the environment your TV will be used in. You can then choose home or store. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to choose store because I want to actually show the store demo, but it won't affect your home settings. It won't lead to any defects. It won't void your warranty or anything like that. So if you wanted to check out the store demo first before going to home, you can, and then you could switch back into the menu system at a later point in time. Now I do have some gray black. I'm gonna open up my ISO so you can see that. Blacks are looking pretty gray right now, but no clouding, so that is important to note. Okay, so I'm going to lower down the ISO just so you guys can see everything again. And also, it's important to note, you guys see how I did that? My ISO right now is raised, so you can see all the gray black I see at about ISO 800 to ISO 640, right? Now, if you're not on a manual camera where you're manually adjusting this stuff, you'll never see this kind of stuff. But YouTubers are going to do this, okay? They're going to say, I don't know what he was talking about. I've never seen any gray blacks. And they do this on all TVs. I don't know why they like to lie, but people suck, right? Okay, so they're going to lower it down to something like this. Right now, we're at ISO 200, ISO 160, ISO 125, and now ISO 100. And they're going to be like, see, it's inky deep black, jet black, absolutely perfect. If you can't see their environment at all and they're telling you how perfectly black it is, there is something wrong with the information you're receiving. If they are only showing you bright scenes and they are not showing you dark scenes, there is a problem with that as well. Just be mindful of the tricks that people will try to play with you is my point of this. I want you to be informed because too many people feel like I'm some sort of know-it-all and only I have the right answer and nobody can be right. It's really not like that, guys. People really do suck and lie. So we're going to select the store demo. Then it's going to ask us our time zone, Eastern, and it's now there's a user agreement, and it says by clicking you agree to TCL's terms of service. And again, in a similar fashion, you don't have a choice. All you can do is read more about the privacy notice and read more about the terms and conditions, but that's it. So if you don't want to be met with a double whammy from Google and from TCL, this is going to be a deal breaker for you. So I'm going to hit accept. I don't have a choice. And then performance and analysis data, I'm going to leave it unchecked and hit agree. It says you can review at any time, whatever. Cool. I wasn't able to do, I didn't have to be forced into doing something, so I like that. Good. At least for that portion of it. Automatic updates, hell no, we're not doing that. That's how you wreck a TV. Pair your remote. My remote is already paired. I shouldn't have to do anything. But it's requiring that I pair the remote. So I'm going to have to pause this process and then we'll get back to it. Never mind, I lied to you. I could have just hit the right button to skip. So if you ever want to skip that, just hit the right button and then you can skip, and then that's pretty much all you had to do. So that was my bad, but essentially here's the TCL interface. It's pretty hazy and washed out. It's definitely going to need some calibration work because it is not looking pretty at all. I don't know how much of this is going to show through on YouTube. I really don't. I hope a good amount of it, but yeah, it's pretty hazy and not impressive. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully they show me some sort of store demo soon. They have something called T-Solo, which I imagine is the Bluetooth option to be able to stream from your phone. Yes, that's exactly what that is. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to exit this. I don't really need to do that. What other options do they have? The TCL Home. I imagine that's like safety guard, media player, and gallery, and then you can sign in. The interface kind of looks a lot like LG's menu that they have on the C1 with that like side panel thing. So that's kind of cool. Safety guard. What is safety guard? More terms and services. Get started with safety guard. Manage app permissions, invoke logs, and then you can check and manage it. So it's just a file manager, really. I'm not really interested in that. The TCL channel, which I'd imagine is like for their version of Pluto TV or something like that. Dashboard. They really did make it look a lot like LG. Now, again, this could be like just the general Google kind of UI, but it does look a lot like what we saw on what LG did with the C1. Now, inputs. They show you the inputs that you have, all 4 of your inputs. You can rename them. HDMI 2.1 eARC. Let's go back now, and we're going to go display and sound. You can do intelligent, activate basically your AI adaptive brightness here, or your content recognition for SDR and Dolby Vision. I've never really tested that for TCL, so let's see how that kind of plays out. And then they have adaptive brightness. I never use the ambient light sensor. I don't really like it. Let's see, intelligent sound. We'll give it a try to see if the adaptive content for the sound works. Who knows, right? Then you have the picture settings. So the presets that they offer are vivid, low power, smart HDR, I don't know what that is, but it sounds intriguing. I'm going to try to click it. I don't think it's going to do anything yet. So we'll test out Smart HDR. I don't know what that's all about, but that's interesting. We have sports, movie, and game enhanced. That's pretty much it. That's all they offer there. Your brightness is the same. Color saturation. You have advanced settings, brightness settings. Why did it just take... Okay. Then you have brightness, contrast, black level. Then you have dynamic contrast, which goes to low and high. There is no medium, and you do have an off option. Black stretch, which is like a black enhancer. You can turn it low or off or high. So again, no medium. I don't know why they don't like medium. It'd be nice to have a middle ground. I also don't know if this is too bright, so I'm going to lower my ISO just a little bit in case it is for you guys. Then they have, what is this? Dynamic brightness, and then it goes brightness plus, so it automatically adjusts the brightness according to the content on the screen. So you can enable it or disable it, and then there's eco, and then there's off. So I'll have to really test dynamic brightness. I don't know what that's all about. Then there's local contrast, and then you have off, low, medium, and high. And local contrast adjusts the backlight and contrast based on individual areas of the screen to optimize picture quality. So that strikes me a lot like local dimming. And then there's micro contrast. Good God, they have so many contrasts this year. Optimizes contrast by adjusting individual sections of the screen's contrast. This is so weird. Okay, so you have micro contrast, local contrast, dynamic contrast, contrast. Like, dude, you do not need 4 contrasts. Just build it into a single system. So I'm not going to be too much of a jerk about it, though, because I kind of am excited for something like micro contrast. We'll see how that works, but I can see a lot of people kind of getting a little thrown off because this is kind of the first TV I've ever seen in history have like 4 contrast adjustments. That's really going to throw a lot of people. As for your gamma, you have all the way up to 2.6 and 1.8. So 1.8 to 2.6 is the range, right? With 2.2 being the middle ground and 2.4 being kind of like the safe spot. I'll just leave it there for now for the sake of the video. Then color adjustment options. Again, we talked about saturation. You have tint, dynamic color. To enhance the color, you can toggle it on or off. Your color temperature is different this year. It's a slider, and you can go warm or you can go cool. Cool is incredibly cool, and warm is, well, it's not as warm as the warmest thing I've ever seen, but you can cool it off a bit. And I like that they have actually a slider to kind of adjust the level of warmth opposed to just you being stuck with a certain level of warmth. And I can tell you right now, off of looking at it as like a little freebie, -3 looks like a really nice spot for the warm tones. I'll be giving out picture settings for anybody who wants advanced settings to really unlock this TV, but essentially that's what I did so far. Now, sharpness is there. It's usual, nothing crazy there. Medium, the option of medium now returns for noise reduction, so we will have that. And then we've got the regular noise reduction outside of the digital noise reduction. You do have the auto capabilities for only one of them, which I think is stupid because why not the other one? Now, a massive, massive plus, and I have to give TCL credit going with the Google operating system and killing off the Roku nonsense. Now noise reduction is a regular part of your experience, and you don't have to download a stupid app and download that just to be able to use the TV. That is a massive step forward, and I think they did a good job there. Gradation clear removes noise caused by gradation. I mean, is this like their way of saying smooth gradation? Because I've never heard of gradation clear. I mean, I know about chroma noise and banding and things like that, but I don't know what gradation clear, like grain specifically in gradations, that would be a kind of color depth issue. I don't know. I really have to experiment with a lot of this stuff because they're tackling some new territory here, seemingly. So motion. Motion clarity. It seems a lot like their black frame. No, that's not their black frame insertion. I don't know what motion clarity is. Reduces motion blur of fast-moving objects. Clear motion LED is definitely their black frame insertion technology. That's definitely the verbiage for that. So that's what we'll call it. And they already have judder reduction and blur reduction maxed out, so I kind of like that. So I really hope that that shows me something out the gate. Now, funny enough, I'm not noticing motion presets, though, which I think will be a big deal breaker for a lot of people that like traditional motion presets and not having to manually know what to set it to. I think that's a downside. That's something that's going to really eat eat away at their potential. Now, if motion is good, this is a moved point, but you know what it is. 2-point white balance system, a 20-point white balance system for calibration. Color space, you only have the option of native, auto, and custom. Once you click on custom, things open up, and then you can go in and you do have a color management system, so you can get more accurate results. Unfortunately, though, I will say it does not work like an HSL. So it's not hue, saturation, and luminance. They go the route of Samsung's kind of method, where you have to, it's an RBG, it's basically what's called an RBG mixer. So you need to find ways to get the color accurate using just red, blue, and green values, opposed to the traditional, I need to take out luminance, I need to take out this. You have to balance out the mixer channel and then go on to the next color and then go down to the RBG mixer channel or RGB mixer channel and do the same thing for that. I hate this method. It takes way too long. I think it's stupid, and HSL is way better. But again, I won't gripe too much, but I absolutely cannot stand that method of calibration. It is time consuming, and not everybody has time for that. So then there's screen settings such as auto detect, and then you've got aspect ratio. Quite a lot happening here. Okay, so we have 4:3, 16:9, Cinemara. How do you even say that? Cinerama. There we go. I don't know why I had trouble with that. I'm an idiot. I'm just messing around. But anyway, we've got 14:9 zoom, 16:9 zoom, and 16:9 zoom up. So you do have some options here. So that'd be pretty cool. No 21:9 aspect ratio though, so that's going to be something that some people are not going to like. If you want the kind of no black bar look, I don't really know. Some people have preferences. Overscan, and then apply to all sources, and then your default options, and then your audio options. And then you have dynamic, standard, movie, music, voice, live, and then you can delay. Then you have your audio output methods, internal speakers, or auto, it'll detect the best. You can use headphones, Bluetooth, ARC, wired internal, or you can have a wired headphone with the internal speakers. You can have Bluetooth with the internal speakers. So you do have a good bevy of options here. Equalizer, and here's a look at the equalizer channel, just in case you wanted to see that. And then you have audio out only, or rather audio mode only, your balance for left and right channels, and then you have, what is that, a volume control, digital audio out, digital audio delay, DTS, DRC, and Dolby Atmos at the bottom, and it says takes effect only when Dolby Atmos is enabled. On enhances Dolby Atmos, or rather enhance, or what does it say? On enhances Atmos surround sound, off weakens the Atmos effect. So you turn it on, you can have Dolby Atmos off, so on and so forth. But essentially that's basically it. The rest is the Google operating system. There's not really a whole lot to it. I was expecting for there to be some sort of demo to have played by now, but of course that didn't happen, so I just decided to start talking about settings. Ambient mode, energy power, quick start, system behaviors, or you can turn system sounds off if you didn't want them on. Then you have advanced settings, LED indicator. This is where you would turn off that indication light that gets on a lot of people's nerves. They don't like seeing that stuff. Then you have the standby LED. Then you can have it flashing, or you can just turn it off. So you have options on removing that if you didn't want it. And the environment, you can have it set to store, and then store mode settings, e-ticker, it doesn't really say a whole lot there. And then the home is the general option that most people will probably use. And that's pretty much it. That concludes this unboxing / settings overview and things like that. So yeah, this is pretty much it. And unless you want to sign into Google, you won't have access to much of anything on the home menu. So just kind of be prepared for that as well. You don't have much in the way of apps either. So again, it's pretty bare bones, but again, that's unless you wanted to sign up. So that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty and watching this super lengthy and in-depth video. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below and what you'd like to see. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.